Hi everybody, welcome back to 12 Acres. It is a cool and rainy day today, perfect day for doing some canning. I want to make some bean soup. All I have on hand though are some Great Northern beans and an opened package of bacon that we didn't finish the other day. Yeah, I know, shocking. So I am going to make some bean and bacon soup. It's going to be very basic, just those two ingredients plus water and maybe something else, but keep watching and you'll see just how easy it is to come up with something really yummy and hearty and a perfect thing to eat on a cold, rainy day like today. So I do reference my old Ball Blue Book of Preserving just for processing times. And so for this recipe, we will be using the bean soup recipe. Now, I'm not going to follow their recipe. I'm going to do things my own way. I'm actually going to do what is called a raw pack or dry pack. The only thing that I need to reference on here is the processing times because that will be the same. Now you can add these other ingredients to kind of spruce it up, but I am making a very, very basic bean and bacon soup. I can throw in some onions. Normally, actually, I will put in just a little bit of chopped carrots just to add some color, but I don't have any carrots right now. It's going to be a very basic bean and bacon soup. So the thing you want to really look for on new or used jars is that there are no chips or cracks or any imperfections on the entire jar, but particularly around the rim. So after carefully scrubbing these with hot soapy water, which you could run through the dishwasher as well, these actually were washed in the dishwasher and then I also re-washed them again by hand to make sure that they are thoroughly clean. These are used jars that I keep in the cabinet, so they're constantly being used, and that is what I'm using for the soup today. So they've all been cleaned, they've all been inspected, they are all in perfect shape. On the stove, I've got a stock pot full of just regular water that is heating up. I also have my trusty old All-American canner that has about 2 inches of water in the bottom, and I've got it on low just to bring it up to temperature. The canner I use is the All-American canner model number 921. It holds 7 quarts, and I think maybe 14 or... no, it's more than that, pints. I hardly ever do pints, so I don't remember for sure, because you can stack them. You can do a double-decker to do all the pints. I can't remember how many pints it holds, but it holds 7 quarts for sure. Okay, so I had about a half a pound of regular bacon, and I went ahead and chopped it up as best I could, all directions, kind of mixed it up a little bit so that the more fattier pieces or sections were mixed in, because we don't want to get just, you know, and grab a clump of nothing but fat for a jar. You know, you want it to be mixed up so that you get a good variety of meat and fat pieces. And then from here we're going to try to separate this out as evenly as we can for 7 jars. Alright, so I just did that kind of visually. 7 little clumps of bacon. You can measure it if you would like, if you want to be more precise, but we're just going to do this real easy. So I did rinse the beans, and I basically just do that to check them, to make sure there's no little stones or anything that shouldn't be in there. And those are all good. So now we're going to start putting the beans in the jars. Alright, so like I said earlier, this is going to be a raw or dry pack method. So we do not do any soaking or pre-cooking of the beans at all. We are going to put a cup, 1 cup, in each quart jar of the dry beans, and they will cook during the processing time. So that one bag of northern beans wasn't quite enough for all 7 quarts. So since I had an open bag of pinto beans, I went ahead and just added some in here. So it's going to be, this last quart will be a mixture of pinto beans and the northern white beans. And I've actually made bean and bacon soup using pinto beans before, and it turns out just as good, if not better, than the northern white. So I have no problem mixing this. So now we've got all of our jars full, at least with the beans and the bacon. And what's the next step? This is my secret ingredient. Instead of adding salt, I add a cube of this, which gives it a little bit more flavor, but it also adds the sodium. So not a big issue leaving the salt out, and you can always add more salt after the item is cooked. When you're ready to eat it, you can add your own salt and pepper then. Alright, so I don't know if you can see the water level down there. You don't want it to come up past probably halfway up the jars. So to start out with, probably just put a couple inches of water in, and then you can always pull a little bit out if it's too much. So now I'm going to put the lid on and slowly get this up to temperature. Okay, so now we are just starting to see some steam coming from the peacock. This is the open position. I will let that steam escape for just a couple of minutes and then I will close it. Alright, after I allowed that to vent for a few minutes, I went ahead and closed it, and now I will begin the watch on the pressure. And I will be waiting for it to get up to 10, and then I'll turn the heat down to maintain it at that 10-pound pressure for an hour and 30 minutes. We have reached 10 pounds pressure, so I am going to turn this down pretty far because I want to just maintain it right there. And I will stay in this room and keep checking on it every few minutes. And this is also where I will start the timer. So now that the processing time is complete, we have shut off the stove, shut off the timer, Now the key here is to be patient. We do not want to rush the cooling down process. So we want to wait until the gauge reaches all the way down to 0. Do not open the vent. Do not try to open the pressure canner, anything like that. Don't even try to move it. So leave it set until it's completely down to 0. The pressure is all the way down to 0 now. I'm going to vent it and then open the lid. It is very, very hot in there and everything is still boiling. You can see that. Now let's see if we can see where that water level ended up being. It looks like it's about the same. So that was a good level, about 2 inches. Alright, now that we have it opened, we have a couple of options. We can either wait until these are completely cooled before removing them, or we can go ahead and take them out now and place them on our towel where they will finish cooling. So when you take these out, you want to keep it perfectly straight up and down. You don't want to tilt it because these are not sealed yet. They will seal the rest of the way as the item is cooling down. So you don't want to tilt it or tip it and get anything up underneath those lids. Oops. Here's our mixed one. And I'll space these a couple inches apart on the towel so that they have plenty of airflow around them. And I like to put them on a towel because I just feel more comfortable putting them on a soft surface than placing them on the cold, hard countertop, since these are so hot. Now that these are out of the processor, they're not actually done yet. They are so very hot, they will continue to soften up those beans for a little while until they're completely cool. So in the meantime, you just want to leave them set, let them cool off completely, and we'll check back on them in a little bit. Alright, so here they are, all cooled off. The tops sealed within just a matter of minutes after taking them out of the pressure canner. This is the mixed one that's got pinto beans as well as the northern white beans. But yeah, they look really good. Yummy, yummy. So that's all there is to it, to making some delicious homemade, very basic bean and bacon soup. I hope you all give it a try, and thanks for watching this video. See you later. Bye.